The safety gate slammed shut behind me harder than it should have, echoing through the empty park like a gunshot. For a second, I just stood there, gripping my flashlight, staring at the dark silhouettes of roller coaster tracks twisting up into the fog. My radio crackled once and went dead. I looked back at the gate. It was already locked. I remember thinking, that wasn't supposed to happen. This was supposed to be a simple overnight security shift. 8 hours of walking empty pathways, checking doors, logging temperatures, making sure nobody broke in to steal copper wire or scrap metal. The park had been closed for 3 years after a lawsuit, and the company that owned the land was waiting on permits to tear everything down. They hired a cheap security firm to keep squatters out until then. I was new. First night. Graveyard shift. The supervisor who dropped me off didn't even shut his engine off. He leaned out the window and said, "Don't wander off the main paths, don't go inside any rides, and if you hear music, ignore it." Then he handed me a ring of keys and drove away before I could ask what he meant by that last part. The fog was already thick, pressing against the faded lights strung along the walkways. The giant clown face over the entrance stared down at me, its paint cracked and peeling. One eye chipped so badly it looked like it was melting. Wind pushed through the park, rattling loose signs and making the hanging banners scrape against their poles. I started my first round, boots crunching on old popcorn kernels and gravel. The smell of rust, wet wood, and something sour hung in the air. Every few steps, something creaked or clanged in the distance, like the park was trying to move on its own. About 10 minutes in, I heard laughter. It was faint, but clear. A child's laugh, high and breathy, drifting from somewhere near the carousel. I froze. There were no houses nearby. The park sat on the edge of a dead industrial area, surrounded by empty lots and warehouses. No one should have been there. I raised my radio. "Dispatch, I'm hearing..." Only static. The laughter faded, replaced by the low groan of metal as the carousel's canopy shifted in the wind. I told myself it was nothing. Sound carries weird in fog. Kids from a nearby street, maybe. I kept walking. My checklist took me past the funhouse, the arcade, and the snack stands. Everything was locked. Everything was quiet. I started to relax a little until I reached the old Ferris wheel. It wasn't moving, but one of the cars was rocking gently back and forth. There was no wind strong enough to do that. I shined my flashlight up at it. The metal door was hanging open, swaying slightly, tapping against the frame. "Hello?" I called out, my voice sounding small in the open space. No answer. I climbed the steps halfway up the platform, keeping one hand on the railing. The smell up there was stronger, like mold, and something sweet that had gone bad. Inside the car, I found a paper cup sitting on the bench. It was crushed in the middle like someone had squeezed it. The inside was still damp. I backed away slowly. Someone had been there. I radioed again. Nothing. I decided I'd finish my round quickly and wait by the gate until morning. As I turned back onto the main path, the lights along the walkway flickered. Then the music started. At first it was so faint I thought I imagined it. A warped version of an old carnival tune, slow and uneven, drifting from deeper in the park. The supervisor's words echoed in my head. "If you hear music, ignore it." I tried to walk faster, but the sound seemed to follow me. Every turn I made, it was there, just behind me, like something was pacing my steps. Then I heard footsteps. Not mine, lighter, barely there. I spun around, flashlight cutting through fog. Nothing. But when I turned back, there were wet footprints on the concrete path in front of me. Small ones, like a child's. They led off toward the funhouse. I didn't follow them. I kept going toward the gate, heart pounding so hard it made my ears ring. My phone buzzed in my pocket. No signal, but I checked it anyway. No new messages, no missed calls. Just the time. 12:12 a.m. The park lights dimmed, not off, just dimmer. The shadows between buildings thickened, swallowing whole sections of the path. The music got louder. Then a voice cut through it. "Help me." It came from the arcade. I stood there shaking, trying to decide if I was really hearing it. It sounded young, scared. I took a step toward the building before my brain caught up with my feet. The arcade doors were unlocked. They creaked open, revealing rows of dark machines, their screens reflecting my flashlight beam. The smell inside was heavy and stale. "Hello?" I called again. The voice whispered, "I'm in here." I walked a few steps inside. My boots stuck slightly to the floor, like something had spilled and dried long ago. That's when the machines turned on. One by one, their screens flickered to life, glowing dim blue and green. Pixelated characters danced in place. Sound effects chirped and beeped, overlapping in a broken chorus. And then the prize counter bell rang. Ding. I jumped back, heart racing. The voice whispered again, right behind me. "You came." I spun around. There was no one there. I ran out of the arcade and didn't stop until I reached the main plaza. My chest burned, my hands numb from gripping the flashlight too tight. That's when I saw the figure standing under the broken Ferris wheel lights. A person, tall, thin, standing perfectly still. "Hey!" I shouted. "You're not supposed to be here." They didn't move. I stepped closer, flashlight shaking in my hand. The beam slid over their clothes, old, faded carnival staff uniform. Name tag still pinned on. The face was turned slightly away, but I could see their mouth. It was stretched in a smile that didn't look right, too wide, too stiff. I stopped. The music cut out. The lights around us went completely dark. My flashlight flickered. In the silence, I heard more footsteps, dozens of them. Light, fast, circling me. Children's laughter filled the air. My flashlight died. In the darkness, something brushed my arm. Small fingers. Cold. I screamed and swung blindly, stumbling backward until I hit the Ferris wheel support. A whisper slid into my ear. "You're staying." I bolted. I ran toward the gate, tripping over curbs, crashing through hanging banners, tearing my hands on broken wood. The laughter chased me, echoing off metal and glass. The gate came into view. It was open. Relief surged through me, until I saw what was standing in front of it. The same tall figure in the staff uniform, now facing me fully. Their eyes were open too wide. Milky. Unblinking. "You're on shift," they said. Their voice layered, like several people were speaking at once. I tried to push past them. My body went cold the moment I touched their arm. It felt wrong, not solid, like pressing into wet cloth. My radio crackled in my hand. A voice came through, cheerful and clear. "Night security. Check in." I screamed into it, begging for help. The voice responded, "Don't wander off the main paths, don't go inside any rides, and if you hear music, ignore it." It was my supervisor's voice, but slower, deeper. The figure leaned closer, their smile stretching further. "We're short one," they whispered. "You'll do." Behind them, the carousel started turning on its own. The laughter swelled. I don't remember how I got out. I just remember stumbling into the fog outside the gate, falling into the gravel, and watching the lights inside the park dim again like nothing had happened. The gate slammed shut behind me. I quit that job the next morning. 2 weeks later, I checked the company website. They're still hiring. Night shift security, same park, same warning in the job listing. Do not wander off the main paths. Do not enter the rides. If you hear music, ignore it. And last night when I couldn't sleep, my phone buzzed. No number. One message. "You're late."